Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chat Channel. My name is Tim Hayden, and I'll be your host. We have an excellent show for you today. Our guest is the beautiful and award-winning Cady McClain. Cady is a history-making, three-time Emmy Award-winning actress, two-time Emmy-nominated director. She is also an accomplished producer and writer who has worked for over 40 years in film, television, and theater. She has starred in shows like Who Will Love My Children, Law and Order SVU, Young and the Restless, Days of Our Lives, and many more. Cady is probably best known for her role in All My Children as Dixie Cooney Martin and As the World Turns as Rosanna Cabot. Please welcome Cady to the show. Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing
Thank you
great.
so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm just thrilled about it. Before I get started, did you realize that this year is your 45th year acting?
Really?
Really?
Wow.
You started in 1978, from what
Am
I've
I that
researched.
old?
Oh, I am as well. So, we're just a couple of years apart, you and I.
So
No,
funny.
I think it's great. Phenomenal. I didn't know if you realized it because all I've ever seen is over 40 years, but then I got to looking when you did your first commercial. It was 1978.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, I thought it was 79, but if it was 78 and you looked it up, that must be right. My gosh, that's a very long time. There are a lot of people in this world that aren't even that old. So, my
I think
goodness.
it's phenomenal, phenomenal career.
Thank you so much.
All right,
I
I
sort of
usually
feel a little
start.
bit like Elaine Stritch, I have the I'm still here thing.
Yes, for sure. I usually start way back. So, what was it like for you growing up?
Oh my gosh. I grew
I
up
mean,
in
just kind of how,
yeah,
school, things like that. Nothing too in
sure.
depth.
I grew up in Southern California in mostly in a place that is now known as being a very wealthy area, but at the time it was just a little beach surf town around Dana Point. And I had very happy memories running around on the beach and jumping in and out of the ocean. And but I got into show business. I was always a performer, and I got into show business very young. I had a friend in my tap class who was doing commercials, and so I went to my mother and said, "I can do commercials. I could do that. I've always had a lot of that. I could do that in me." And so uh, when I found out that something existed, so that got me. My mom sent out a headshot that was really bad. It was like reversed negative. I had like show makeup on and from a stage show that was way too much that my mother had done, and my hair was all curly. And amazingly, this one agent who specialized in child actors called us up and went in on the interview, and she said I looked like tough enough to be able to handle the industry somehow. That's what she saw in me. So that's when I started. And a lot of my childhood was spent auditioning and going on commercial auditions and doing commercials. And I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Well, your very first one was a Band-Aid bandages. And actually, I did find that online. I couldn't download anything, but I did find that online. You
Ah,
with your glasses and everything.
it's there. I'm washing a horse with suds, which no one does. You don't do that. It's not a thing. But in the commercial, it was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cute. I saw some of your other commercials too. You can find online.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's cool to see them. I'm like, wow, what a little professional, and I
Well,
took a lot of pride in that. I did, I have to say.
I'm glad whoever uploaded those did because a lot of famous people start out in commercials and you can't find them. And yours was
Mm,
one of the few that I was able to find.
yeah, that's great. There's a strawberry shortcake commercial that's available too, where doing, I'm presenting all the little tiny little strawberry shortcake dolls.
Yes.
You can find that there too. And I wish at one time I used to see it. There was a McDonald's commercial that I did, but I wish I could say I had all that money from all those commercials when I was a kid. But I was also sort of the breadwinner for my family, so I helped
Yeah.
take care of my family. So I'm proud of that too, to be honest with you. Especially the older I get, I don't really feel so victimized by it, but I feel more like, hey, look at that, that's pretty impressive, a mighty child.
Well, you like myself, we survived the 70s and 80s, so that
There
says
you
a
go.
lot.
It sure does.
You've done a lot of theater shows. Do you remember when you started into theater?
Again,
From
I was a
commercial?
child. I that was really what I did before I even did commercials. I was doing theater, Music Man,
Oh,
Phineas
okay.
Rainbow. Then I did, I think, Wait Until Dark, which was a lot of fun. And then I had a workshop production in Los Angeles with Bonnie Franklin take me to New York, and that's sort of how I got to New York. And it did a pre-Broadway tryout at a place called the John Drew Theater in East Hampton, and it was really special. I was 17, 18 years old, and getting to learn some of the hardest truths about what it's like to be in the theater at a very young age. We did rehearsals at the Minskoff, and I really didn't have any sort of preparation for that. I was just sort of so I learned the hard way what that level of professionalism, which is a whole other level, is like. And since then, I've done gosh, I was privileged to do Shakespeare at Lincoln Center and off Broadway at Second Stage, and now I'm the artistic director of a theater company out here in New York.
Oh, yes, we'll get into that later on. I was figuring I would start off with your acting career, and then we'll get into
Early
that.
stuff. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. You also did one of my favorites, which was Barefoot in the Park. I love that
That's
one.
right. Yeah, Barefoot at the Park at the Westbury Music Center in Long Island, and Westbury, yeah, Westbury. And we also did it outside of Philadelphia for a week. Which, boy, that was a lesson because we did it in the round. And so anything, there was a fight that once broke out in the audience, and one time I broke a light bulb by accident, and like you can't stop, you just sort of have to deal with the situation and and kind of keep going. I was working with a fellow, an actor named Walt Willey, who had invited me to do the show, and he did a lot of stand up, so he was very helpful in those situations.
Yes, I know Walt. Jackson Montgomery.
That's right. That's right.
Told you I'm a fan of the show. Was.
Aww.
Well, speaking of which, you joined that phenomenal cast and quickly became a fan favorite and one of the lead in the show, which, because you were working with some phenomenal people back then.
Yeah.
Your name was, let's see if I get this right, Dixie Cooney, Chandler, Martin, Lawson, Bodine, Martin.
That sounds right.
I had to count my Martins when I wrote that down.
I have to say, I forgot the Lawson, Craig Lawson. That's right. Oh my God, we got married.
Yes,
a lot of weddings. Really, I shouldn't complain. I had all the weddings.
Do you remember? Did you have an audition for that, or did they just read you and bring you in?
I had many auditions for that. One in the first part of this, it kind of went in two phases. Phase one was they asked me to screen test, and I couldn't because I had a pilot that I had that had been picked up, and they were like, "Oh, we think it's going to go to series." Well, it didn't go to series, and so when they decided to recast the role, they did another round of auditions, brought me back, and then I got to screen test then and got the part that way. Yeah, so very nerve-wracking. Very nerve-wracking. Oh.
Do you remember your first day on the set?
Boy, first day, a little bit. Yes, I do. Because I always remember there was this really lovely guard at the front, and all sorts of everything was new. The new sounds, people's lunches being announced, that had been delivered because it was New York, and the hallway, the building was on 67th and Columbus. The building's no longer there now, it's just too bad. But it was a studio, and all single. No, it was two stories. The offices were upstairs, and then the sound stages and the dressing rooms were mostly below. Some dressing rooms were on the second floor, and it was crazy. People were wild, and it was so new. I mean, I'd always done like a little job, be very professional, go home. Do a little job, be very professional, go home. But this was just anarchy and silliness and a level of adult wildness I had never experienced before. So I was just in shock.
Had you watched the show before you started it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I tried to like get to know it, but it wasn't a part of our lives. I mean, I knew about soap operas and
Mhm.
I watched them as a good professional to know what was on, but it wasn't like you with your grandma and like, it's part of our lives. And I
Right.
knew everybody. So I'm glad that was the case because I would have been so starstruck and overwhelmed if I had been a longtime viewer.
Well, that's usually why I ask about the first day, because I know if I was to ever enter a studio like that, I would be starstruck. I mean, I wouldn't be able to talk or move or anything else. Just
Totally. I've been starstruck before. I've even chased somebody down the street before, which is really embarrassing. But I had to tell him that he was the greatest actor in the whole world. And he was so just changed my life and how wonderful he was. And his name was Roger Reeves. He's passed on now and he was a British actor. And he was, oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
see, I get fanned out doing these. I can't imagine doing them in person. I don't know if I could pull that off.
You would probably be very polite and nice. And then like afterwards be like, oh, I'm going to pay.
Well, that's kind of what I do. I fan out after the show. I don't really think about it too much before.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Psych myself out.
I love it.
Well, did you know that it was going to be a long term, or was it just supposed to be something short term when you first started out?
It was definitely a contract. I
Okay.
think, but as contracts are, they have all these outs in them. The producers generally have all the um, uh, buttons they can push, if you will, to be like, oh, that was good, bye,
Right.
but you're sort of locked in. If they like you, you got to stay. So it was just like, make it for the first 3 months. Okay. Oh, I made it to like 3 months. Okay. Can we make it to 6 months? Oh my God, we made it to 6 months, it was like
Well,
that.
from hearing different contracts, I think the only thing that I've heard that I would not like is the fact that if they could say you're not going to be on TV, but we're not going to let you go on to your contracts up to anything else. I don't think people should have that authority to control you working or not working. Just personal.
Yeah, it's I understand. I mean, it's great to have your own gig. That's in that regard, or to be the leader of your own organization or your own business in that regard. But when you work for somebody else,
Mhm.
they makes the rules.
Well, you were
But it
one
was
half.
great.
You were one half of all my children's dream couples, along with Michael Knight. You two had such great chemistry. I mean, but why the heck y'all kept splitting up? It was just like crazy. I just always wanted to get Dixie and Tad back together. I think that was what they were trying to do. So they had to split you.
I think there's a rule in daytime where like a happy couple is like death. What are we going to do with a happy couple, right? You got to have a couple that's unhappy and fighting and wanting to get back together. So you got to split them up again. I think that's just the way it works.
When I was doing the research, because I know I haven't seen the show because it's been out for so long, so I kind of refreshed my memory on some stuff, and it was like Dixie's with so and so, but she can't stop thinking about Tad, so she left him and went to Tad, and then he went to her, and then they did that with a lot of people, but they did that with you all more, I feel like, than they did everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, we as a couple, I mean, I think that there was something very special about Michael and I together. And I people have asked me to sort of try to quantify it or explain it in some way, and it's very hard to. It's why they call it chemistry. Why does two people just have a spark or a way of working, being opposites perhaps, or just being different in many ways, and then super much the same in other ways. So, but I know that I know I could speak for Michael, and that, we both look back feeling very, very grateful to have had that time and very much, feeling blessed that we were able to have that time together.
Well, I don't normally get too personal, but I have to ask, are you and Michael still friends?
Of course.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. Oh,
That just,
yes.
in my mind, Tad and Dixie, that's where my head goes. It's
Yes.
like, oh my
No.
God.
We text each other. The line is open anytime. We have
I'm
lunch.
glad to hear that.
Absolutely. He's a darling man, and, feels like family to me. He really does. So
That's because there's a
absolutely.
couple of dream couples that not so much friends anymore. And it's just like, it's
I
hard.
know. That's such a shame when that happens. You're like, oh no. It's sort of like, you always want everybody to be friends at least. Yeah.
Well, I ask you because Michael, he seems like he is so laid back and kind of a cut up on the set, that type of personality that you couldn't dislike somebody like that.
No, he is hilarious and very smart, and strangely sometimes very shy, which you would
Really?
never expect. Like, and suddenly he'll be just get struck with shyness. You're like, what's going on? And he's like, I just gotta, yeah,
He's tied
interesting.
the Tad the Cad though.
I know. He once said that he thought that Tad and Dixie were like the best parts of each of us, which I thought was so lovely because I'm like,
I
well,
love
then it's
that.
there. Isn't that lovely?
I love
Yeah,
that. I really
yeah.
do. And they put your character through the mill. I mean, I think you were put in a psych ward twice, attacked all the time and kidnapped.
Yep,
That's
yep,
crazy.
yep. I think I lost a baby. I know I gave away a kidney.
Yep.
I had a baby stolen. Yeah, it was a lot of
I think,
trauma.
let me ask you to see if you remember, because I didn't find it in my research, but in my brain, it just seems like it happened. Um, I know you know how David Canary played two roles. Was there ever a point that you did play two roles, even if for a short time?
I don't
I
recall
might be
that, but
misremembering, is what I'm thinking.
yeah, they had Kelly Giddish at one point playing like Di, and then was she going to be Dixie or was she Dixie for a while? I know there was that
Right.
kind of thing, and then I came back, so there was like two of us, and she was like, she was really Di, and I was really Dixie. But twins, I don't. I know I wore a wig at one point, and I was pretending to be somebody, but I don't. I don't think there were two Dixies. No,
Well, see,
I
in
could
my
be
head,
wrong though.
in my head, I saw it because it seems like the other person, not Dixie, the other one was going with Stewart, but my brain, gets confused and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was just thinking, no, I'm thinking something
Yeah,
else. So I had to ask
yeah.
just to get it clear in my head.
Well, I may be wrong because I don't remember some of the things that I did. Like, I'll see a scene and I think, did I do that? Was that me? Was I there? I have no memory of that. It's like completely gone. So we'll have to ask the fans to look that up for us and give us
For
the answer.
sure. And bringing up David Canary, that was my next subject. I mean, you
Aw.
worked with some of the best. I'm going to name a few: Frances Heflin, Eileen Hurley,
Hmm.
James Mitchell, and David Canary. I mean,
Hmm.
those people right
Yeah,
there, that had to be incredible.
yeah.
I mean,
And Julia Barr too. She belongs in that
Julie
list. She
Barr,
was
yes, she
one of
does.
the best. And Jill Larson, and just I know that I was really lucky. I'm so glad you mentioned Fra Heflin, because she doesn't get mentioned often enough. She was really like something, and I'm so grateful because I got to learn from those people. They
Oh,
were some of
Mona
them
was
were
one of my favorite people in the world. Mona and Myrtle, when they got together, I mean, that
Myrtle
was,
Fargate, so
and
funny.
Ruth when she was on it,
Ruth Warwick, oh my
Ruth Warwick.
God. And they were all, I mean, she was in Citizen Kane. These are people that had, Eileen Hurley was a huge Broadway star.
Mhm.
So much experience in that group outside television. And so it was really interesting. They were fun. They were sharp. They were grateful for the work. And they were they brought so much to the show. I thought they made it a community, a world,
Right.
which was just so great.
But I mean, you and James Mitchell, I loved that relationship. I love Dixie and
Yeah.
Palmer. I mean, you were a daughter to him. I mean, I
Yeah.
loved that. He's phenomenal. He was phenomenal.
He really was. He really was. And he was a great dancer. I don't know if you know his history. He danced in he was Curly, the dancer in Oklahoma when I moved into the dance
Oh,
sequences.
really? No, I didn't know
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
I
he was
knew
a
David
big movie
Canary
dancer.
came from Bonanza, I think, or one of
Bonanza.
those.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So
Well, speaking of poor Dixie, I don't know if we mentioned it, but you were talking about dying. I think Dixie died 4 times on the show because I was counting them when I was doing my race. When I was reading all of this, it's like, oh, Dixie died. She left the show. Did they do that for a reason, or they were just like, oh, it's time to kill her off?
well, I it's that's why I said, like, nobody dies in daytime, right? It's just the way it
No,
is.
they don't.
Nobody dies in daytime. I don't take it personally. It's just the storyline, and or you go into a coma. You can go into a coma for a while, take a break. We're putting you in
Or
a
go
coma. Just Take a break.
Or go to Switzerland, was it?
Oh yes, you can go to Switzerland and come back another person. That's all that happens.
With the baby that you gave up to somebody else while you were there.
Right. Come back to with somebody else's baby. Yeah. Yeah. Or
Mhm.
having had one. Oh my God. I know. It's funny, it's one thing that soaps did and do that is different than any other medium, is that sort of outrageous kind of plot twist,
Yes.
Yeah.
But they could go a little too far. And I know whoever wrote this Poor Guiding Light is probably going to be my hate mail, but I bring up one of the worst storylines ever was on Guiding Light. And that was when they did Reva as a clone.
Oh, a clone. Okay. Yeah. I
Clone named
vaguely
Dolly.
named Dolly. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
And
the
talk.
there was
Yes,
a clone named Dolly the sheep. Yeah.
that's where it came from. It was the same time that the same thing. I think that's where they got it from, the idea.
Oh my
But
God.
yeah, I've had some Guiding Light celebrities on, and yeah, they're like, we couldn't help but to laugh. They were like,
Right?
poor Kim Zimmer, she had to go and sit and do this, knowing it was crazy.
I know. Well, on Days of Our Lives, the devil kind of comes through from time to time and like jumps from person to person. And,
Well, so you can expect it
just,
from Days of Our Lives with the witches.
that's yes. Yeah. They have a whole history of that. That's true. Yeah. But when it suddenly springs into a storyline, like, and by the way, this person's been cloned. Yeah.
Yes, that
Soap
was
operas.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing was, she got to a certain age and she started rapidly aging. They aged her out to
Really?
die. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
It was crazy. Well,
Wow.
while you were there, you won your first Daytime Emmy Award for Best Newcomer as Dixie. What was that like?
It was Best Juvenile, I know, which is very strange, but and it was everything. It was absolutely everything to me. I love young actors and I love working with young actors, and I do a lot of it because it brings me back to that time where everything was possible, and there was the apple, and having to prove yourself, and to win that, and I really wanted it. Meant that I was an actor and I got the apple, and I had been now invited into the group, into the community, if you will, accepted and have my work seen as something of value. And I'd worked very, very hard in classes and trained very, very hard at a place called Michael Howard Studios with a fellow named Michael Howard, and who was a real gift to actors. And I felt like if I didn't win that, then I probably wasn't really an actor. And I was going to start thinking about what else I could do for a living. I felt like it was just that important to me. So I think I'm proud of all the Emmys that I've won. But because none of them have come easy. I just have 3. It sounds like I have a lot. It sounds like soap dish. I have 14 Emmys, and here they are. Oh, number 7. I was like, however many years, 20 something years, I have 3 Emmys. So that's something. That's something.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Where do you think Dixie is now? Or what's she doing? Or
I've never been asked that question. I would like to think that she's still living in Pine Valley with Tad, being a grandma to a ton of kids, and working in the hospital, being a patient advocate, and doling out a lot of good advice.
well, one more question about all my children. Will you be part of the new Pine Valley that I keep hearing about?
I don't know. I mean, it keeps bouncing around, so we'll see. I'm very proud of Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos for having really driven that forward. It's really, really remarkable that they've done so much work to get it as far as it is at this time. It's not easy to get a show made in
Right.
in this world, and so we'll see. They're pretty incredible people. So I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be too long now.
Well, I've had Jacob Young and Amanda Baker Browning on already, and they both love you to death, sing your
Aww.
praises. They do. They really do. I mean, y'all worked so close together, especially you and Jacob.
Yeah. Jacob's a
And
very special person and a great talent. And I just want to see him just do wherever his dreams take him. I hope he has every bit of luck and love, because he's just a remarkable, sweet, lovely man. Yeah.
and I love that with his podcast, he has Boys Town sponsor it so that he can promote them and
Oh
promote,
wow.
that. And I just thought that's great that he's using that platform for that.
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, then you moved on to another hit show, As the World Turns, as Rosanna Cabot,
Yeah.
where you won your second Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
Which was great. It had to be, was it different? I mean,
Oh
I know
yeah.
you were still proud of it, but both of them, but
Yeah. Well, I what happened was 9/11 happened here in New York, and everybody, I'm sure, but myself included, were like, okay, what do you want to do with your life? Like, you better be doing what you want to do with your life, because you never know what's going
right.
to happen tomorrow. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna leave all my children. I'm gonna go to school. I dyed my hair red. I broke up with my boyfriend at the time. I was like, this isn't working, so let's just like start clean slate. And then I got into NYU, and I was going, and I got a call from Christopher Goutman, who was the executive producer of As the World Turns, and he said, how would you feel about coming working with us? And I was like, oh no, it sounds so great. And then he talked about the character, and I was like, okay, I think we can help develop this character. And I was like, yes, absolutely, even though it's a long-standing character. And so it was just, oh no, this is a really, really good opportunity to play something in the same genre and the same medium that was completely opposite of Dixie. And so it was a great challenge. And I'm proud to say I was nominated 2 years in a row. And then the third year I was nominated, I won the second. So, and that was like some of the hardest work I've ever done. I think, even though All My Children was very hard work, the way that the show ran at World Turns, you really had to be on your game. It was a tight ship. And so I kind of grew into this almost like military ability to like be up at a certain time, know your lines, get there, do it. And I'm proud of that too. I like that, that kind of toughness. And so it was a great experience, and I met a lot of amazing people there.
And see, that's what I love about you. A lot of actors, they go to school, they get a good education early on, and then just grow from there. You continue to educate yourself and expand your craft, and I love that. Because you've gone back a couple of times, different things, but you've gone back a couple of times, and I think that's fabulous that you weren't just like, all right, been there, done that, I'm done.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I feel like it's not possible for me to know everything there is to know. There's so much to know, and so much to be affected by and interested in. And I like to say interesting people are interested people.
Yes.
I don't like sitting at a table and having a conversation with somebody who has, that has nothing that they've thought about, or that they're wrestling with. Like, what does this mean? Or guess what I just read?
Mm-hmm.
That's so much more interesting. Don't you think?
Yes, for sure. And you were talking about taking the role of Rosanna. I had Yvonne on a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, she's lovely.
And the way I see it, when they do something like that, it's just you're seeing a different side of that character, which you developed that side of that character, when you took on, and she did her side. And it's not a replacement to me. It's just we get to see something different of that character.
Totally. Yeah.
Great. I love that. Y'all both are awesome, both of you. And she, like you, she's one of them that went on. She is a, gosh dang it, intimacy coach.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
She said well, she said she likes to go on doing sets, because when she got the role of Rosanna originally, she had to make out, and she was very young. She had never known how to kiss an actor. She said she went full on open mouth, tongue, and everything, because she didn't know. And she said from that on, she learned. And she was like, when she got done with this return, went back and became an intimacy coach to help
Wow.
younger people to know
What to
how to do
do.
things. I wouldn't know. I didn't
Wow.
have a clue till she brought that up. I was like, that's an interesting job. And it's kind of important, I would think, for younger people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that has always been needed in show business, but it never existed. It's sort of, you had to rely on the director, or
Right.
stage manager to sort of guide a situation like that, or have a conversation with the other actor and be like, okay, we cool. Like, you're a boxer, I'm a boxer. We're going to do X, Y, Z dance, here, here,
Right.
here. And that's the way it always was for the most part with me. I've only had a few moments where I was like, oh my God.
I'm not kissing
Oh
him again.
my God. Oh my God. How am I going to do with this? And which is, really, it becomes it's deeply unsettling, to say the least. And so I'm so happy that she's doing that. It's great to know.
She is. She
I'll keep
says
that in mind.
she's been on some sets. They've called her to some sets to help out some of the newer, younger people.
Wow.
I've never really thought about it. I wouldn't have known how to do a Hollywood kiss, I guess is what you would call it.
Yeah. I mean, it's usually that, like, at least when I started on my children, they were like, what I did with Michael is I said, I was young, obviously, but I said, I'm very nervous. Can you help me? Because I'm really uncomfortable and nervous about doing this. And he was so kind, very kind. So I think I got lucky in that way.
I was trying to read some of these comments, but I'll do that in a minute. I want to talk more about As the World Turns. You and Rosanna and Carly's relationship, I mean, that was crazy. I loved the slap scene y'all had. It wasn't just a slap, it was a slap, go over the couch.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. Laura West is a total professional and like super fun to work with. And again, it was all blocked. Nobody was hurt, and we were like, let's just go for it. And, but within our safe parameters, and it was a blast. We laughed so hard when it was over. It was just like hilarious.
When I watched it the other day, your slap, you were the first one. Your slap was kind of on this part, and it's kind of like that. When she slapped you, it was like it looked full on. Bam! It's like, oh my God.
She did not hit me. I promise you, it was a safe slap. It was just very well done.
Well, I'm trying to get more on. So hopefully, she'll come on sometime.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah.
But I mean, that was crazy. Did you have a favorite storyline from? I mean, I know I'm asking you to choose children, but
on World Turns?
As World Turns.
Favorite storyline? Gosh. I mean, there was a whole very long storyline, but about losing the baby and this baby that she was going to adopt, and then it was taken away. And I worked with a woman named Kathleen Noon, who's another fantastic actress who has a huge career. And I think it was probably that, just because it had such weight to it, the losing of the child, having a child, wanting a child, and having it taken away from him.
Oh, for sure. And while you were there, you worked with a friend of the show, Mr. Scott Bryce.
Oh, yes. He's so lovely. What a sweet guy. Please tell him I said hi. Yeah.
I will. I mean, actually, the thing I was talking about, we might add him to it. Because he told me he would come back. But he told me he'd come back anytime. He's super nice. I had so much fun talking to him. We laughed.
Oh, good.
I'm going to read a couple of these questions and comments. Terrell Eugene Bellinger, he's one of our subscribers and one of your biggest fans. He said, hello, Cady.
Hi.
And I'm one of your biggest fans and still are. You're his favorite actors in daytime. And then he asked, when you first started playing Dixie on All My Children at the ripe young age of 19, what was it like doing the infamous gaslighting storyline?
Such a great storyline. And, I knew that it was good. And I knew that it was important to the show. And I think what was the most thrilling part about it was such an ensemble. storyline. Everyone had something really interesting to play, and it involved so many people, and it was so intricate, so well written. It was just thrilling, just thrilling. I'll always remember the group scene where Dixie has to be taken away to the mental institution, and even though I was playing like I was lost in my mind, I could hear all the other actors, and what they were doing too. And I could just hear, I was like, wow, this scene is going really well, which is just so great. I was like, oh, great. So that was fun. When that's happening.
Oh, for sure. For sure. David Bursky said Kelly Giddish was thought to be Dixie for a period.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Kenny Little said, good morning, David. And 4 husbands, Dixie Cooney. Oh, yeah, he was reading off your husband's names.
Oh.
Kenny Little said, I love your version of Jennifer, which we'll talk about here in a minute.
Oh, thank you.
What's it like? What's your favorite memory of working with your on-screen siblings, Paige Turco, Lonnie Quinn, and James Patrick Stewart, Windsor Harmon, and Alec Messer, and Kelly Giddish?
Oh, wow. That's a lot of siblings. I didn't realize I had so many. There are a lot of, wow. Boy, that's something I should have kept track of. I mean, they're all great. They're all
Will
great
is the one that stays
funny.
out in my head the most.
Which one?
Is this? Yeah, Will.
Well,
Will?
oh,
Will?
well,
No.
yes. Well, that's James Patrick Stewart, who's now on
Yes.
General Hospital. And
Yes.
and we're great friends still. And he's just a lovely guy. And funny, very, very funny, just like hilarious all the time. Love to laugh. I don't think he quite understood when he started the show, like how serious we took it. So he was a bit of a goofball, and we were like, dude, settle down. And then he really got serious, and when he had to play the rapist character, and I think he got an Emmy nomination for that. So that was great.
He did. And that's also where you met your husband John on.
That's right.
As the World Turns.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I got very lucky to work with him there, and he's just the greatest guy, and it's been a wonderful I don't know. I always say, like, don't date people where you work, but sometimes when you spend so much time at your job, you can meet people that are incredible, and it can work out. So yes, I've been very
And there
lucky.
are some great couples. You, John, Justin Dees, and Margaret Collin.
Oh yeah, Justin Dees, he's lovely, and Margaret. Yes,
They've been together since they were on As the World Turns. They're still married.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, Justin was on one of my first. I think he was like my 3rd or 4th guest. He's great.
Yeah. Well, what's he doing now? What's he doing up to these days?
He's just living in New York. Margaret was doing a play in Tennessee and Nashville. He went down there and saw her a couple of times there.
Nice.
Yeah, just kind of enjoying retirement, from what I understand.
Oh, nice. I'll have to look him up. They're really, he's such a talented actor. I have so much respect for him. And Margaret, I never really got to know. So
did you work with Justin?
I don't think so. I don't
think you did.
We may have crossed paths just around,
Right.
But someone told me that he and I are the only 2 people that have won 3 Emmys for 3 different characters on 3 different shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so he's the dude, male guy version, and I'm the female version. So I have to meet him, and I have to have lunch and celebrate.
Yeah, his was Ryan's Hope, As the World Turns, and Guiding Light.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I'll briefly to talk about Young and the Restless, because that was another hit show. Kelly Andrews. What was it like playing a crazy lady? I mean, Dixie, they made her think she was crazy. This one was just full on crazy.
I know. It was rough. I didn't want her to be crazy. I was like, no, don't ever be crazy. That was tough, because I felt like she could have been so much more. But then once I got into it, and I had to be like, okay, listen, some people just snap, and I had to go for it. So I went for it.
There
because that's
again,
just the way I roll.
you got to do some good fight scenes with Phyllis.
I got some fight scenes, and I stabbed her in a fantasy, and yeah, it was
Jabbed with the needle by Peter Bergman.
Oh, he stabbed me with that
Gotcha.
needle. Damn him.
I know. Who does he think he is? Jack
I
Abbott?
know. Now I can say I've done it all, right? I've done the crazy lady, I've done the bitch, I've been the good girl.
Well, most recently, you played Jennifer Horton Deveraux in Days of My Lives, where you won your third Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Performer. That had to be awesome.
Yes. It's oh my gosh, what can I say about that? I mean, it came out of the blue. It happened during COVID. It happened because Missy couldn't fly. She had family, that very close family, were about to have children, and flying and COVID and all that. It was just not going to happen. And so I happened to live 15 minutes from the studio, and it was a good match. And so I was like, sure, I'll work. I'm sitting around here watching TV with everybody else. I'd love to do something. So I was super grateful, and just it's my nature. Like, if you give me something, I'm all in.
Well, I kind of understand her fear in the beginning of COVID, because especially hitting the airports and airplanes, it was just, I'm not sure I would have taken that chance either.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll return?
Well, I returned once. And again, it was, in sort of our COVID period. We're sort of still in it, but not as much, which is great.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's just one of those things. I like it when people call me up and offer me jobs. It's one of my favorite moments.
For sure.
Call me up and offer me a job, please. Anytime. Yes, I'd love to. Yes, I mean, both experiences have been fantastic. Everybody's been lovely. We had a great time. I got no complaints. It's been a joy, and so absolutely.
Well, you've been involved with your resume is so huge. I had to kind of cherry pick certain ones. You were in a movie called Who Will Love My Children with the fabulous Anne Margaret. I mean, did you realize how big she was? I mean, because I know you were young really young.
I think I was 14, 13 maybe when I did that. And my mother had to tell me. And then we watched some movies, and she was like, "You'd be very respectful. She's a very, very accomplished woman." And I was also told that, she was doing something that was going to show another side of her, right? So I kind of learned, like, oh, look, this is what actors do. They take risks so they don't get boxed in terms of like what the world might think that they are capable of. I thought, oh, that's very smart. And it was cool. It was like it was about a story about a woman who had cancer, and she had 10 kids, and they were very poor, and they had to give each of these kids away while she was alive, because she didn't, her husband agreed. There was no way that he was going to be able to take care of them, which is just because of his nature, and which was heartbreaking.
I believe it won an award.
Yeah, I think it won. Yeah, I think she won a primetime Emmy for it. Yeah.
And I need to think the movie, I think
the show
it won
itself.
an award. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you did a horror movie. I mean, with another one of our friends from the show, Adrian Pastar.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. Oh, what a sweet guy he was. And the kids that we got to work with, who played these insane, insanely violent, mad children. It's quite a movie called a home movie. And they were so great. I would carry them around. We'd have a lot of fun, and we'd do our scary scene, and then we'd laugh and play games and carry them around. I had a blast. It was great.
Well, see, now you can say you did everything, because you did a horror movie too.
That's right. Check.
And I need to jump back to Days of Our Lives real quick. I mentioned that because we're talking about legends. I have a legend coming on Thursday, Marie Cheatham.
Oh.
From Days of Our Lives.
Oh, great. Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. Well, she's not on it now, but at one time she was.
Yeah.
She's good. Well, recently you've been writing, producing, and directing, and a lot more. How is all of that going? Because I know you just finished directing a show called Never the Sinner.
That's right. So I'll catch people up a little bit on how I got to do that. I was living in New York, and I'd been writing a book. I spent about 5 years writing a book after World Turns. It was a memoir called Murdering My Youth. Okay. And when I was done with that, my my husband was very much into filmmaking, or he was my boyfriend at the time, and he, encouraged me to. He was like, well, write a short film. What's the big deal? Just go ahead and write it. So I did, and then we moved to LA, and he was like, well, why don't you direct it? And I was like, oh, well, I guess I could. So I tried it. I mean, I had always wanted to be a director. I mean, there's some people who just do, and I was one of them. And when I did it, I called him up and I was like, why didn't you tell me this is the greatest thing ever? This is so incredible. Oh my God, I love it so much. So then I did another short right away. And then all this news started to happen about how women weren't really being included in the directing field as professionals so much as they might be. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I should do something about that. And so I made this documentary called Seeing is Believing Women Direct. And I took a few years to interview all the women that I could. And I learned, I shot a lot of it. I learned how to shoot. I learned how to edit. And it was a lot of work. I ate a lot of cookies. When I'm editing, I'm like, I get the munchies really bad. And I'm like, oh, peanut butter, chocolate cookies. Oh,
man.
got a little big. And but what can I say? It kind of comes with the territory when you're learning something new on a computer, and especially that risk of like, what's the right cut? What's the right cut? But that was so great, and it got into some festivals, and it won some awards, and it got some distribution. You can see it now on Canopy for free if you have a library card, or go to Vimeo.com. We have that there. It's one other place. I will remember that in a second. But PBS. It's on various PBS stations, especially in March. You'll find some local PBS stations, or you can ask your PBS station for it, as it's with American Public Television. And they have an arrangement between the two of them. So that's been wonderful. And I've really been super happy to have done that, because I got to meet so many amazing people, so many directors and producers and advocates of female identifying directors. Right. So that was great. And then I directed a play called Paint Made Flesh here in New York. My friend Howard Meyer saw the movie and said, we should do something. It's like, okay, send me some plays. Yeah, let's do something. And that led to that production. And then COVID hit, and he said, Howard said, oh, we just lost our artistic director. And I said, well, what does an artistic director do? And he told me, I was like, do that? And it's very many. And that's so fun. So I figured it out. Like a big puzzle. Everything. I love puzzles. They make me insane, but I love them. And so we started doing this theater company, and I directed our first big production in this last November, a play by John Logan, who's probably known to people from things like Spectre and Gladiator.
Those are good. Those are great movies.
Incredible movies. And this was his first play. It's a brilliantly written play about Leopold and Loeb, who were two teenagers in the 1920s who killed a 14-year-old boy. And the question as to why they did it. And it just really resonated with me about like, wow, we have this problem with our youth and, violence. And so let's go explore that. And it was a big success. And so that was really great and really hard work. But just a joy. So I'm directing now and acting, and sometimes producing. I'm helping to produce a short film for an organization that I've been with for many years called Kids in the Spotlight. And they're an organization that does that helps foster youth through filmmaking. So we work with the foster youth who's written a film and then help produce it and make the film with their involvement. And then other foster youth are working on the set, and they learn how to be a member of the industry. So that's really great. I really love doing that.
That's very awesome that you're using your debut directing platforms to promote real things that are going on, like women in the industry and the kids on the streets. And I have all the respect in the world for famous people who will use their platform like that for something like that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it makes it more meaningful in a way, you know. I do also care very much about artists and artist process and sort of like the uniquely difficult path that it is that there is for people who identify themselves as like being artistic. Like, oh my God, there's no straight line. You don't like you go to artist
Mhm.
school and then you join the artist club and then you I mean, maybe like there's a little bit of that, like, you know, Juilliard and NYU or whatever, but not so, it's never not really a super straight line, you know. You still have to like find yourself and yeah. So I've
For
been working
sure.
on that, a class that I'm going to teach about the art and the business and sort of how you can find who you are uniquely as an artist and how you find your path to do the kind of work that you are called to do.
I love that. Fiona Hutchinson is doing something similar. Her and her husband, they have a theater or a little thing that they do with kids,
Oh,
helping
do
teach
they?
them. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, and I love
fantastic.
hearing that. Oh,
Oh,
I didn't know
nice.
you. I didn't know y'all knew each other.
Oh yeah, well she was on One Life while I was on All My Children. You know, all of us daytime people, we all kind of cross
Right.
paths and, you know, propagate.
Well, believe me, I searched to see if I could find anything with you two in it. She was on 2 days
Aw.
ago,
Oh,
Saturday or
sweet.
Friday, Saturday.
Aw.
But yeah, y'all are two of my favorites. You know, we had fun on her
Aw.
show.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah,
Did you
because
get
she
to
was one of my,
spend that
she
time
was
with
one
her?
of my teenage crushes.
She's a beautiful woman. Oh my God. Oh my
And
God.
so I just kind of had fun with her at that, you know, and John, her husband. I did ask first. I asked her to make sure he was a good sport.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's adorable.
here's her chicken that she does on Instagram.
Oh my God, she has chicken. Oh, I'm
One,
so jealous. Just one?
just one.
Oh,
She had several, but over the years they've thinned out. She talked about it on the show, but her Instagram is all about Chicky Mama, her chicken.
oh my God.
This is the
I'm gonna,
smartest chicken with a personality. I swear this chicken has a personality.
is it at Chicken Mama?
No, it's at Fiona
Okay.
Hutchison, and I think she has an underscore at the end of hers. You'll know it. She doesn't have a blue mark, but you'll see her picture.
Okay. And it's like hashtag Chicken Mama.
Well, we're going to start it. We're going to
Oh,
start that.
good.
I'm
Yeah, do
actually
it.
talk to her. We're going to do T-shirts with Chicky Mama on it. For she's going to do it. She's going to allow us to do it for my foundation to raise
Nice.
money for them. But
I'll wear one of those shirts. I like
Chicky
Chicken Mama.
Mama's Chicky
Yeah.
Mama, and when she got an attitude one day with her. She's like, "Oh, you're Chiquita Mama now." And of course, you know Fiona with her accent. This chicken
I'm a,
drinks tea with her every day. Comes in the house, walks around the house, will eat soggy bread, hangs around the cat inside the house. I'm telling you, this chicken. I've never seen a chicken like this.
well, I hope they don't eat it.
Well,
They'll
I
never
told
be
her
the same.
I love it, but I had to tell her. I didn't tell her on camera, but I said, I have to tell you some bad news. I said, my family's chicken farmers for Purdue.
Oh no! Oh my
She said, "Oh no, I
God!
don't care about that." She said, "That's agriculture." Which when I say that, I need to follow it up. We're very conscious about, you know, we don't mistreat them. We have a
Oh wow!
plexiglass room where we let people do school, Boy Scouts. We educate them
Oh wow!
on the process of it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, we were using, my brother is using his platform for that to try to promote positive agriculture, because you hear all these bad, horrible things, and that makes
Mm,
everybody look bad, and not everybody's like that.
mm. Well, that's
Sorry,
good to hear.
I didn't mean to
That's
go off
good
of
to hear.
me.
No, no. I mean, I think that's really important, and I'm glad you said that. And you know, it's there are good farmers and there are not good farmers, and so it's important that you make that known.
I've got a very philanthropic family. My other brother is a meat scientist, and he does things about beef and stuff,
Oh
videos and
wow,
Instagram stuff for it.
wow, interesting.
Well, I want to get to your book. I won't get into it too much. I just wanted to bring it up and let everybody know that you can find her book at Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, and most bookstores still. I just ordered mine.
Oh, nice.
And someone asked, David asked, will you be writing a sequel to your autobiography?
I've thought about it. I even have a title, but I'm not sure. I'm working on a couple of things, and writing wise. So we'll see. We'll see. That's all I can say.
Okay. Well, Terrell, again, he said the scenes where you were Jennifer grieved over the loss of your daughter, Abigail, broke his heart. And David said, mine too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Those were very hard scenes to do. And I had to shoot them right after Christmas, which was really awful because I was like, oh no. And I had just had COVID, which was like, oh my God, I was like better, but you know how you can like not feel well for a while,
Right.
even though your testing is clear and all that. So it was tough, man. That was very hard to do. And, I don't know where it comes from. I think I just have a lot of connection to grief and, a lot of understanding, like a well of it. I don't know why, actually. I mean, I've had people die in my life, certainly, but I've never been a mom, so I don't know. I have some crazy ideas as to why, but I think I'll keep them private.
Are you able to cry on cue?
No. I mean, there are people that do that, and I think it's amazing, but no, I'm kind of glad I can't. I have to really put myself into the scene and be the character and like live it in a way, like it kind of creeps up on you and it lives in you, kind of takes over, if that makes any sense.
Well, David wanted me to mention that he met you at the Philadelphia Gay and Lesbian Film Festival with John about a decade ago or so. He said you were a sweetheart.
Oh, that's so nice. I was just thinking about that film festival not that long ago. That was a lot of fun. And I love Philadelphia so much. Oh my God. Such a great town.
Well, you might mention to John, he's on my list and I'm coming for him.
Okay, I will.
I want him on the show. It seems like I missed you, but I don't think it was him. I think it was Ken Schreiner, but he messaged like, I don't have nothing to promote right now. I don't want you to promote anything. I just want to talk about your career profile. And I don't think it was him. I think it was Ken Schreiner. He's a great guy too. Ken's a great guy.
Yeah, they're both wonderful. But then they're good friends. They have a lot of fun. I've always told him that he and Ken should have a podcast to talk about movies, because they're two guys that know more about movies than I have. I mean, you can possibly imagine. Like, John knows the names of every person in every film and who directed it. Some of the producers, even. I'm like, what's the name of that movie again? And like, where was it? What? Who? But yeah, he and Kim too. They're like movie history buffs.
I do good to know the characters and maybe the actors.
I know. It's like, remember that one with the guy with the gun and the woman? She was wearing a blue shirt. Like that's how I talk about it.
That's me. She was in that show with what's his name?
Right? The show with the thing, the hats. Everybody was, they're talking about the hat. Yeah.
That's me for sure. Cady, thank you so much for being here chatting with me.
Oh, Tim, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for asking and for just making this such a pleasant time. It was just lovely. I really enjoyed it. I really
hope you'll come back. I'll talk to you about a couple ideas I have in the future, in the near future, but I hope you'll come back.
Of course I will. It will be my pleasure.
Try not to scare anybody off.
Okay, I will.
Well, that's why I said earlier, I don't go personal. I'm not that person. That's private. To me, everybody's private life is their private life. And I don't think it needs to be scandalized like they do.
Oh, yeah.
I don't normally ask about husbands. I did John because I follow you on social media. I know I've seen y'all. I mean, come on. Y'all are just so happy. All the trips and stuff. I mean, but yeah, I'm not one of those people. But again, thank you for being here. If you'll hang out back in the back room for just a moment, I'll be right back there.
All right. You got it.
Thanks. I'd like to thank Cady McClain for being here today and chatting with me. I'd like to thank the Necrotizing Fasciitis Foundation for sponsoring our show. For more information on necrotizing fasciitis, please visit www.necfash.org. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more upcoming episodes. Remember to